Hey YouTube, welcome to the final part of this 7-part series of Jay's major engine out repair, starting with the coolant leak, which is what started it all, which turned out to be a leak from the hose.
As a bonus, found the leak. Elbow has failed.
To the plastic fitting underneath the manifold. So those are actually a common failure point. So those were upgraded to the metal shark works. So no need to worry about the plastic cracking. And another common failure are the epoxy that Porsche used to glue the coolant fitting. So those were pinned and JB welded.
Lose all my videography. Well, there you go, buddy. Prime example of why you should pin your lines.
And a bunch of parts was upgraded. As you'll see in the series of photos that you're watching now, the clutch was upgraded to the Satch 2.5, which has a higher clamping force, the 764 pressure plate. That's much needed, especially if you're running a stage 2 tune. The camshaft was pinned. Those are less common, I believe. So Jay decided to address that. The fuel injectors was sent out to RC Engineering to be cleaned. Fuel and filter was replaced, though you could do that with the engine in. The intake pipe was upgraded to the DO88. That's the old epoxy. BBI fitting was used. Those are the Sharkworks elbows. Bunch of O-rings, fuel pump, accumulator was replaced. The flex disc.
Old one.
Actually, thousands of dollars. I believe Jay spent over $6,500 just in parts alone, which is crazy. Though it included the upgraded clutch, like I mentioned, you see there. The flywheel was upgraded, and the best parts is, best place to get those is actually Rock Auto. The OEM, prices are like over $1,800. So here you can see the camshaft spun, blocking the oil passages, and usually you'll get a check engine light, a P0021, though Jay didn't get that check engine light in this case. So a bunch of parts replaced. The flex disc, starter. I think Rock Auto also has a great price on these. And here you can see all the parts, the O-rings, hoses. Again, $6,500. Some, of course, were upgrades like the clutch and the DO88. Anyway, if you like this type of video, please like and subscribe. There's probably even though this is the final, there's probably a second episode, because after he got the engine back in, which is what this episode will cover. As you could see, the start here, he had problem with the RMS and the power steering leaking. So without any further talk from me, thanks for watching.
All right, the engine's in, belts on, throttle body's on. It's just waiting for fluids right now. Just a quick note for anyone who's going to try this, put this thing back together. You can essentially assemble the power steering pump outside the car with this special line stabilizer. It just needs a clamp now. I struggled with that thing quite a bit. And the last thing to do is, before you get the engine all the way in the car, about 2 inches or so from the top, go ahead and drop the AC compressor in. Obviously the oil filter housing and the throttle body would be off at that point, but those are the only two things that need to stay off. After you get the alternator in, I'm sorry, the compressor, you can put your belt on, throttle body, oil filter housing. You got a cluster of a mess of fuel lines and vacuum lines here. This is the brake booster. But those are all pretty self-explanatory. I've got to tighten up that clamp back there on the fuel filter. But I just want to get the thing started tomorrow. Got the hoses are in. Way back there are the three wire harnesses. Those are in. I'm going to go ahead and snap this oil filter housing. Looks like I've got it in the wrong place, so I'm going to have to deal with that tomorrow. The coolant expansion tank is in. The two lines are in. One's down here, and the other one's right here. Those are both in. This is, I believe, an overflow line from the those two heat exchangers on the top of the engine. All right, we went ahead and fixed the oil filler neck. Just a matter of bending a U through there and pulling it out to the right spot. So that's all good now. Tomorrow I can fill this thing with fluids and double check for air leaks. I believe this throttle body and plenum's a little bit low. Going to raise it up about a ½ an inch or so. Crack the two bolts back here, one on the other side, and just tilt the throttle body up so it's facing straight out. Then obviously you have to leak test it again. Got pressure?
Yep. About the 2 there.
Okay, we're good. Shut it down. Go ahead.
Clutch is in,
Go all the way back off.
brakes on, starting. Ouch.
We had a coolant leak around the water pump. just lower the engine, pull the carrier off, and retorque those bolts. Let the engine run for a little bit and see if that dripping goes away. Okay, car coming off the lift for hopefully the last time this year. All right, JC, this is what the starter sounds like. Excuse the redneck outfit. After 5 weeks of being up on the lift, the turbo is on the road again. Been a long, stressful battle with parts, torque specs, spun camshafts, leaking coolant lines, but it's all back together. It seems to be sorted. The upgrades are the clutch, the DO88, and perhaps the best upgrade is the starter motor. That thing fires up like a jet plane now.